want to learn how to brat ethically? Maybe you're a part of the community, but have no idea what a brat is. Or you might be a newbie kinkster and need some 101 tips. Then register at Brat University, your prime podcast for brat and kink education. Hurry, classes start soon.
Break a heart like an eggshell, cardiac arrest or heart attack. Throw a tantrum, baby doll me up cause I'm a brat. I'm a handful, demi devil pyromaniac. Bitch I am one, throw a tantrum.
Welcome back to another episode of Brat University. I'm Brat-tastic, the Brat Coach.
I am Tatiana, the Chaos Brat.
And I'm Havoc Rain.
Awesome. Today we're talking about a very important question, and don't ask me why it took us to the 4th episode to answer this question, but what is a brat? And
I'm so excited about this.
So am I. So I went digging on the interwebs, and here are some of the definitions I found when you look it up. It said, on Urban Dictionary, it said a type of BDSM label in which a sub, in most cases, I do love that they added that, enjoys misbehaving to the dom, caregiver, or whatever your D/title is for attention and punishments. Another one said a brat is a submissive who loves to playfully push buttons and break, quote unquote, rules. They behave this way to deliberately provoke attention from their dominant. A brat is a consensual role the submissive takes on because they enjoy being a little bit of an asshole to their dominant partner. Also stylized as dom with a capital D, which of course can lead to some consensual punishment such as spanking. All right. Now,
I love that they added that last part.
I do want to make a disclaimer really quick just on that last one, and I know it's a topic for a future episode. Not every brat is masochist and wants to be spanked. Not every brat is masochist. We will dive into that on its own entire episode, but I just wanted to make that disclaimer for those listening that not every brat wants to be spanked.
Yeah, and a lot of them feel like they have to be a masochist, and that is not true at all.
It's not. It's really, really, really not. Okay, so that's just what I found digging around the internet. And how are we feeling about these? Any parts that we disagree with or agree with?
I definitely agree with it's playfully push buttons, because there's such a hard line between being a brat and being a dick, like for no reason. Mm-hmm. And I like that it's playfully, because it should always be, cheeky play. It should never get to the point where you're actually being disrespectful to your D-type. And I feel like that's something that we see a lot, is a lot of degradation towards their D-types in bratting, which is not always the case.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, when my dom says, like, hey, that was too far, that actually kind of hurt. Like, I feel so bad. I don't actually want to hurt him.
No.
I just want it to be fun.
I love that the last one said that it was a consensual role.
Yes.
Because, that's what we're here to teach. That, like, you can't just brat to anybody. Bratting is consensual, meaning you and, the other person have agreed, yes, bratting is okay in this dynamic. So I love that they call it a consensual role in the last definition that I found.
I enjoy that. I like that a lot.
I also kind of like the part that said enjoys being a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah, it's true. I think
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think since I've made my little series on what kind of brat are you, giving all these brats cute nicknames, the one where it says they love to playfully push buttons and break rules, and it's deliberately to provoke attention, I think that is a specific type of brat. That's not the type of brat that I am. So I actually have listed like what that brat would be based on like a cute nickname.
Right, because I don't think every brat does it for attention. That just makes it seem like needy attention whores, and I'm just like, we might be, but like that's not, every brat. Now me, I will say I do it for attention, not because I'm like, I need attention, but it's like, It'd be the same if like I walked over and I kissed my dom.
Yeah. It's
In
a
that,
love language.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, in that split second, I wanted his attention. And so when I'm bratting, it's the same thing. It's not like, oh, I'm needing, like, you know, your full undivided attention. Usually it's something small, like, earlier in the kitchen, he came by and, like, swatted my butt, you know, like every fucking guy likes to do for whatever goddamn reason.
And every brat likes to do it too, I think.
Yeah, I do!
I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be straightforward. I slapped his ass today.
I don't slap, I squeeze. I'm just like, beep, beep. And I make some silly noise when I do it.
See, and then I'm an opposite annoying person where I give him the whole like finger in the butt. See, I take it that one step further, like, let's see. You know, yeah, I did get an ass slap today, but guess what? You're getting 2 fingers, bud.
Oh my god. See, I feel like this says a lot about all of us. I'm like, see, I'm just squeezing and making silly noises, and she's over there smacking butts, and she's over there sticking fingers in buttholes. And I'm just like, I think this says a lot about all of our brat styles. So like for me, like you said, it's a love language. It's not me trying to like get their attention. But no, when I said that, I was like, hey, that's my butt. He goes, no, it's not. It's my butt. And I'm like, no, it's mine. He comes over and he chokes me and he's like, no, it's mine. Kisses my forehead and walks away.
And that just gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling, kind of like...
Yeah, it's so,
and that was it.
Hot.
It's so funny because it's like so aggressive, but at the same time so loving.
Yeah.
You know?
And I swear that whole transaction maybe took like 30 seconds and then it was done. Like, so... I feel like sometimes this could be misread as like deliberate provoke attention. It's like, I'm not trying to, you know, I don't want people to think brats are needy or anything like that. It might not be that kind of attention.
Yeah.
You
like,
know?
I'm needy sometimes, but that's not because I'm a brat.
Yeah, no, same, 100%.
Yeah.
Another thing I didn't like was it says enjoys misbehaving, and I was like, I guess that depends on what your definition of misbehaving is, but technically, if I'm allowed to bend these rules, I'm not misbehaving. And that's something I learned from when I was teaching. You know, they're not misbehaving, they're behaving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in their own way, yeah.
It's like you have decided that this behavior is unacceptable, but to them, it's just behavior, not misbehavior. So to say that they enjoy misbehaving, like I would be okay if it was in like quotation marks.
Yeah.
Because I told people, I'm like, people think we're being disobedient. I said, no, it's simulated disobedience because I'm not really disobeying anything.
Correct.
Yeah. I think I've said this before, but my dom and I have rules because I have a lot of health issues. About my mental and physical health. I cannot break those. I cannot lie about those. That's like a consent violation thing.
Yeah.
But then we have about 10 rules where I can brat about them. That doesn't mean I don't get punished or punished for it, but where those ones are okay.
Yeah.
Because he's not about to let me hurt myself just to be a brat.
Yeah, I feel that. And I also kind of feel that like certain brat types, you know, they complement well with doms who are sadists in a way.
Oh yeah.
My dom's a sadist.
Yeah. Because you know, I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. You got the ones who enjoy quotation disobedience and misbehaving quotation, and then you have the handlers, or as I call them, the zookeepers, really enjoy trying to reel that back in, because you never want to make a brat behave. You don't want that. That's not why you're in the dynamic. You enjoy that part of that brat. And that's something that I got into on TikTok was, you know, why would you want to be a tamer? Why would you want to tame a brat if that's the most fun part about that dynamic?
That was actually something that triggered mine and my dom's discussion about how he felt about bratting, because, you know, I mentioned, you know, the doms of brats are brat tamers, and this was before I realized, like, that's, you know, not something that should be used either. But he's like, I'm not a brat tamer, I'm a brat breaker, kind of like how you would break in a horse. And I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And so that's when we were like, I asked him, where did that come from? We sat and we talked about it, and I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't as aggressive as it sounded. Just he's very much, he likes more obedience, and that's why, like, at least verbally, I'm allowed to be snarky and bratty. But when it comes to you need to do this, it's always just like, yes sir, and I go and I do it. But cool thing is, I'm also polyamorous, and I'm I don't want to say allowed, but it has been agreed upon that I can go and find another dom who doesn't mind that, and I'm allowed to have more than one
Play partners.
I would not be able to handle that. I would not be able to handle
any
that.
dom I've had outside of like my main partner, it's a when we're together thing, not a when we're not together. When we're not together, it's just us in like a relationship. But the whole dom submissive takes place when like me and that dominant partner would be together.
Yeah.
So it doesn't clash, and so then I also don't feel like I'm being double dommed every day all day. I don't think I could handle that.
Yeah, so it's kind of just a
think
by basis.
So would you think of it as kind of like a play partner sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's something I'm not gonna lie that I'm learning about is like I always when I was coming up, I just identified anyone who was topping me at the time was considered my dom. But then they're like, no, like you just said, those are your play partners. And like I had to kind of like relearn where the boundary was between those two titles and like what that entailed. And so like I did this for myself. I wrote down like if you had a dom, what would you expect of them? Like if they held this title, okay, if you had a play partner, what would you expect of them? And then that helped draw a line for me where I was. I think why I would say I'd have another dom is my current dom doesn't necessarily like we don't have a rewards and punishment system. He doesn't really like that. He struggles a lot with his own self-care. He's like, I don't necessarily want to have to check on you every single day that you've done this, which is why that's not something I brat about. It's just, it's there. And
because it's tiring for them sometimes.
And so he was just like, I can't do that every day, all day, but I've been with people that can. So like if he said like if you found a dom and they want to keep track every day if you're taking your meds, if they want to keep track every day that you're eating a vegetable, like they are more than welcome. He's like basically if it's not something that he already has basically like control over, he's like I don't care. He's like, I would just like to know about it, so should it pop up, I am aware. But so I could essentially have two dominants. It would depend on how well that would go, but it would start out probably as having a play partner and then my dominant. But right now, sadly, that's not even a thing. Like it's saddening because I like having multiple partners just because I being a poly person, I just really like loving more than one person. But
then I bring up, have you heard of the app Obedience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've used Obedience, and I think it is excellent for especially like LDR dynamics. To kind of keep track, because I know that pops up, oh, you're a brat long distance, how does that work? And sometimes you got to figure it out, if this is kind of a dynamic that you want to be into. So I feel like Obedience would be a great way for LDR brats to learn how to brat in long distance, because all of like your punishments, your rewards, all of that stuff is there.
Yeah, especially for like the baby brats.
Yeah.
Who are still getting a grasp on it.
And for those who are poly, you can add additional partners.
Yes, you can.
Into it, so you can have different reward system for different dominants, or you can have a different punishments for different submissives, and it's an amazing app. And out of any app that I've ever had to do that had to do with like BDSM, I love that one the most.
Yeah, my dom, I swear, he was just transported out of Doctor Who. He was supposed to be the doctor, and then somehow he just came out of the TARDIS and found me. but he literally keeps a notebook. He's like, I don't want to use an app. I'm keeping a notebook.
Yeah.
He has a
Jesus
spanking
Christ.
tally. Like literal tally marks. It's hilarious.
If see, and then this is where my forward thinking comes, because like I'm a brat and I think about consequences, right? So like I think of ways of how my partner could better handle me, or things that would really get into my head that would make me be like, I better think about what I'm doing, kind of thing. So like if I was him, I would make you put the mark in it.
Yeah.
You are going to put this tally because you know what you did wrong.
He made me do that with the rules, but he hasn't made me do that with like the tally marks.
That's a good
Hopefully
thing that
he
he's not listening.
I know. If he listens, he will definitely start doing that.
And I think that's part of like my alpha personality too. I'm like, that was me.
You do that a lot, and I hate you.
That's part of the reason why I love you, because you like betray the brats constantly, which is such a brat thing to do. But I'm similar, where I have these really sadistic, funny punishment ideas, but I don't want to tell my dom, because I'm like, do I really want that?
But in a way, you thinking of those consequences, does it not find you a way to like get out of them? So like if you're always like 2 steps ahead, so like if that punishment comes in, you're like, I already know how to deal with this. I've thought about it for a long time. And so that's kind of what I was doing, was like, yeah, I'm giving doms ideas, but I'm also setting you brats up for success to figure a way out of it.
A mutual of mine who's really, really awesome, she was explaining to me what kind of brat she is, because I've been asking a lot of brats, like, what's your motivation behind it, etc. And she said that she's in it for the strategy and the long game, and planning out their next moves. And so she has the patience to not brat and not brat and not brat until her dom is getting worried, but this whole time there's a plan going. And so I call her a chess brat.
Yeah, so I feel like a long hauler brat, kind of, definitely. Like I'm always, I played chess, not checkers,
Yeah.
So us getting into that gives a nice segue into this next part. So Tatiana made this amazing list of different types of brats, and this is by no means an official, like, trademarked list. It was just something that she did for fun, and I thought it'd be great to share if you're listening and you might identify with multiple or any of these. So we're just gonna go down the list and give our reactions to them.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, and it's just for fun. Like, obviously it's nothing official. Nobody is just one category of anything. But unfortunately,
it's essentially a buffet, right? It's essentially a buffet.
Yes. Exactly. Unfortunately, I don't have my notebook that had all the ideas of the ones I haven't posted yet, but I do have my notes. And the first one is the ultra marathoner, which Havoc, I can see so much of you in that. It's similar to the chess brat, but a little bit more vocal. In my eyes, is like they will brat and brat and brat and go for the long game. It doesn't matter how long it takes, they are there for the game. Like, they could be the person playing Monopoly for 72 hours and they would keep going because it's part of the game.
Yeah, I love the chase. I love the chase. I could go for hours.
That's definitely not me. I am not a person that will brat all day ever. It gets exhausting for me, so I'm definitely not that person. I stop eventually because it's just tiring for me at that point.
Yeah, sometimes I need a break too.
I love it. It's like an extension of me. So like I've got zero problem doing it. I could do it to just about any situation. I could find a way to do it. But I put the fun and funeral for them.
That's great. I'm going to use that. All right, so the next one, which I think both of you guys might resonate with, is the fighter. And I think a lot of times the fighters are the ones who are more primal or more into pet play, that kind of stuff. like bratty pets and stuff, like they'll want to fight back either verbally or maybe even physically, consensually, of course, because they like the tussle. You know,
Yes.
they
I'm
like
I'm the verbal side of that, not necessarily physical.
yeah, like I like to pin my dom down and try to like do stuff to him. He can pick me up with one arm though, because he's just really, really strong. I know I'm not gonna win, but I still like to
The
try.
tussle. Yeah, you like the tussle.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like, you know, when it comes to certain, if I get pinned, how fast can I get out? Like, I'm not just gonna let you do it. Like, I'm going to work my way out of this. And then when you do finally pin me, fine, you got me. You got me.
Okay, that makes sense. I was like that with my ex. Like, I'd be that person that would like run and hit him and make him come chase me and then like tackle me, and I wouldn't give up right away. But it's not something I do. Like, if it was something I did take off the buffet, I'm only taking a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's something I want a sampling of, but I don't want a full like portion of.
Not to mention, I think if you're always being a fighter, that can be physically exhausting. Like, imagine just doing, like, if you're a fighter who loves Primal, just doing Primal after Primal after Primal, I would be dead after scene 3.
Yeah, see, like, I try to get out of everything. I'm a Harry Houdini of the Brat world. Like, if I can get out of it, I'm going to try to get out of it. Even if that means, like, I'm going to exhaust myself trying to get out of it, like, it's going to happen. You cannot keep me still.
Oh, I'm the same. And because my dom is a hypno dom and we've been going into dollification a lot, he has a command on me where if he says doll, I have to just hold whatever position he sticks me in. And he can leave it there until he calls me my honorific. And he also has one which is shh, which means that like I can't talk for about 2 minutes or until he says you can talk. And it's always funny, you know, it's always playful, but it's almost just like that audio sound where it's just like, you're done. You're done.
You're done.
Yeah, but I think the next one I have on my list is probably one that Brat Taska, you might beat this one, maybe a little bit. Okay. But I would say the Cutie Pie, which is probably the sweetest brat who just loves to push buttons for the giggles and to make it more playful. So even though they're brats, they're still playful and cute, you know?
Yeah.
And their dynamic is based more on fun. This is what I've observed. More on the fun part than like rules and punishments and consequences and that kind of thing.
Yes.
But obviously that depends.
No, because even with, like I said, with my current dom, like when it comes to rules and punishments, like we don't do that. Like it's not a thing we do, but I still have a lot of fun just being sassy, and it's just fun. And even when like I was in bed with him the other day, and you know, going back to the physical thing for a second, and I did try to like pounce on him, but I was just like, "Rawr, I'm a monster," and I'm like, I'm bratty, but like I'm cute about it, so I would definitely say that fits. That fits.
Yeah.
That's not me.
It's not me. It's not me either, but I do have a little side. So I'd say I'm like that when I'm in the age regression CGL part of it. Yeah. I'm a little more like that. But then I have the cinnamon roll, which when I made this video, a lot of people were like, "That's me. I didn't know that was a thing." I was like, well, I mean, I kind of just gathered information, gave it a cute name. But basically the ones who will brat, but all they need is the voice or the look. And then they'll knock it off. Because to them, it's almost more like sassing and teasing than actual, like, bratting, you know?
That's me with my current dom, 100%.
Like, I've heard someone say it's like a soft brat, like almost like a soft dom, but to me that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
I'm just a baby.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So the type of brat I am is like Baby Brent in the commercial when he kicks over the wagon, then he goes, "Uh-oh." Like, that's me. I'm like, "Oh, did I do a thing? I'm sorry."
One time during a punishment, I like somehow got my leg free and basically kicked him. And not hard, but he was in full like dom space, so of course he answered like very sternly and stuff, and he's such a sadist. And my response to whatever he said was, I don't know, it moved by itself.
Sometimes it be like that though when you're in the middle of stuff. I've definitely kicked my dom before and totally on accident, and my bratty response was, "You should have tied my legs down."
Mm-hmm.
I always say like shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have been standing there. Like if something happens and like I accidentally hit or bump into them, I'm like, no, what'd you do that for? Well, you shouldn't have been standing there. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
I just like whenever I mess with my dom like that, where I'm like poking him or like slapping him or whatever, then I'm just like, it's free real estate. And he was like, no, you're my free real estate. No,
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Am I?
What you got next there on your list, hon?
Okay, this is what I see the most littles say about their bratting. And so I call them the pouty face brat. Because they're the brats who only want to brat when they aren't really getting what they want, like whether it's sweets or like a TV show or something like that. But it's not like an actual child throwing a tantrum in the middle of Walmart. It's just like they might pout, they might stick their tongue out, they might do any of those sort of things. But their reason for bratting is not just for the hell of it. It's because they do have a goal, and as littles, many littles are just kind of pouty. Anyway, that's how a lot of littles are. And a lot of people resonated with that one.
I am like that when I'm little. When I'm just me, not at all. It definitely is just in a little space. But when I'm in my little space, I definitely don't brat for the hell of it. Like, I follow the rules, and the only time I'm pouty is when I don't get what I want. So you hit that like nail right on the head.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Bubbles a little bit from Powerpuff Girls.
Exactly. The pouty face brat is Bubbles.
I like it.
All right, so one of my best friends actually came up with this one, the Bravatar, which I love, who's like the chameleon brat, which I am not. I am not this at all, because this brat can go from being the biggest brat one day to then being smart enough to realize, hey, today I should be the sweetest, good boy, good girl, good whatever, service sub, insert title here, because they realize like, oh, I was really bratty yesterday, so today I'm not going to be, and they can just kind of shift smoothly through a bunch of different roles.
I feel like I identify as that just a little bit.
Same.
Just because I think about the long game, but I also understand sometimes I do take it a little too far, and without being prompted, like I will flip on a dime and just be like, okay, I got you, whatever you need, I got you. But then it makes them question like, what do you want? What
They're
are you
just
doing
like,
this
this
for?
is suspicious.
I feel like I do that, but not for the reason that's listed. I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I've been a brat, I need to behave. It just is who I am. Like, I can be the biggest brat one day and the next day I'm not, and it's just because I'm not. And and it more has what I want to do, because there's some times where I feel servicey as hell and I don't want to brat that day. So some people like have questioned whether I'm a brat or not, because they'll see me like behaving and I'm like, I don't want to right now. And I think that's another thing that should be said. I'm like, brats don't necessarily need to brat all the time with everything that their dominant is saying.
Oh yeah, I love doing things for my dom. Like, it's a really weird random thing, and if people saw it, they'd be like, oh, that's definitely a service sub. But I lace up his boots all the time and put his watch on for him all the time.
Yeah, I feel like that also comes initially with like being bred into being a woman, where typically we have always been a subservient gender or sexuality, where we're always looked down upon, and it's kind of just bred into us to be like that, nurturing always kind of thing, always thinking about everybody except for ourselves. And I think that really comes into play when it comes down to it, of just being a nurturing person when you notice it, when you're like, wow, they kind of need a day.
Yeah, definitely. And when my mental health is bad, I can't keep ratting.
Yeah.
Like, if I try to, it will just be mean. It won't be good.
Yeah, it's not playful or fun. It becomes a problem. And I think that's why a lot of people have problems with brats, is because they think that that's how we are, and it's not.
All right, do you guys have anything else to say about the Bravatar?
No.
I love it though.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes. So the Uno Reverse Brat. And this one is particularly directed at Switches, but I don't think you have to be a Switch to be like this. But they're the ones where it's like a full bratting battle. So like 2 bratty Switches, and it's like on a dime, one could go from losing the brat game, quote unquote, to winning the brat game, quote unquote. Where it's just, I don't know. It's like an Uno reverse card. That's the best way I can think of describing it. And
I will say I do agree that it doesn't necessarily have to fit with just being a Switch, because I feel like that's something my Dom and I do, or like he's reversed my bratting on me, and like this morning he likes when my hair is natural, and I'm sorry for all you podcast people, but so today my hair is natural, and
it
I
looks
was like,
great.
Thank you. And so I said, you're lucky I love you, because taking care of my hair is a lot. And he comes in and he does stuff to me, and he goes, I know, and kisses me and walks out. And I was like, oh, I hate you. And he's like, but you just said that you loved me. And I'm like, I did just say that, like. But the same thing will sometimes happen with stuff that he has said, and he has unknowingly like left a loophole or something, and I'll throw it back at him, and then he doesn't have anything to say. So, but I could also see how this would fit in like a Switch dynamic, where like, you're kind of power struggling a bit, but like in a fun, playful way.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of brats who love malicious compliance, they kind of do that. Like, I remember I made it into a video too, but when he would send me like texts saying like, oh, wear something nice for me when I get back, and so I just was wearing a t-shirt and leggings and put a sign on myself that said something nice.
Oh my god.
And I don't do malicious compliance all that much, but I didn't get away with it, but he did laugh.
That's hilarious. That's exactly where my mind was going. I don't think I saw that video. I was like, oh, I would wear a t-shirt that said something nice on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
So what I got next is the sugar and spice brat, the half and half brat. They're usually lean more to the, servicey, good, like obedient side, but say less than 50% of the time they sprinkle the brat in. And they are for the most part sweethearts, but they still have that like internal brat fire in them.
I feel like if you took that and the cutie pie thing and smashed them together, that would be me.
That makes a lot of sense.
Like, when I brat, I'm very cutesy about it, and I'm innocent and sweet most of the time, but when I let it go, and then I'll stop doing it for a while.
Yeah. And also I feel like that keeps the the D type, whether you call them a handler, a tamer, a zookeeper, whatever, it also keeps them on their toes, which, I mean, for my dom at least, when I keep him on his toes, that's when he has the most fun.
I feel like what's awesome about going through this list right now is like, I do see myself in, multiple of these, but it would really depend on the dynamic. I feel like a lot of the stuff that, like, I would say I am now, a lot of that has to do with who my dom is right now. But I've seen myself be different with different doms. And so, like, right now, it's definitely, like, the cutie pie, or what's the one you just named? What's that one called?
Sugar and spice.
Sugar and spice. Like, he definitely gets that because he definitely, wants me to more of a percentage of the time be that servicey, like, good girl, and I don't mind doing that. But but for my sanity, we're like, okay, I'm gonna sprinkle it in. It just can't be something consistent. Whereas I've had other dominants where they didn't care and it was almost on a daily basis. So for me, a lot of these types depend on who I'm even with, rather than just this is my type all the time.
Exactly. Like, I could not Uno reverse with my current dom. Like, well, he's my first DS dynamic, but I've had play partners before who I could easily do that switching with.
Yeah.
I cannot do it with him. It just doesn't feel right for me, and it doesn't work at all. So I mean, it's definitely, again, like, different for everyone, but from dynamic to dynamic, individual people, no one is 100% one thing.
Yeah, I also really appreciate this list just because, people's view on brats is there's only one type of brat. And there's so many different ways that you can be a brat as well as, like, a submissive. It's kind of the same thing. But I also think about all of my male friends that I know who are, like, bratty doms, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally them.
Yeah, and of course these can apply to doms too. I wrote it mostly in the S-type category because the majority of the people who are interested in my videos or whatever I post are S-types.
Yeah.
But I would say that you could do the same things for D-types.
Yeah.
So
my dom's definitely a brat, 100%.
Oh yeah. So the last one I have is me, the Chaos Brat. Personally, because I'm basing this mostly off of myself and people who feel like they agree with me in the same way, is they love the pain, they love the punishments. Now, there are always different kinds of pain, so it's not universal, but they love to be the tricksters, and they live for, like, the thrill, like being on top of the roller coaster and being like, am I gonna get caught? Am I not gonna get caught? That kind of thing. And I love it when we're having a scene and I'm bratting for a lot of the scene, but at the end I always submit, so therefore he, in quotes, wins, even though we're both getting what we want.
Oh, yeah, no, I could definitely say that for the two of you. That is not at all. I'm like, with no one have I ever been that person, and, like, I'm totally okay with that, but I could definitely see you two pulling some stuff like that.
I'm a huge masochist. Like, I absolutely adore it, and it's my favorite thing ever. And so, like, if I can brat my way into either punishment, whatever, that those two are synonymous with me. They are both awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is this really a punishment? Because I like this.
Yeah, I don't even really need to orgasm. If I get pain in a scene, that's good enough for me.
Yep.
Same.
Absolutely same. Yeah, I'm a huge masochist, and so, like, even being told what's going to happen to me, like, I'm just like shivers, like, oh, Mufasa, kind of thing.
Exactly. He can send me, like, an audio message, and it's just like
There's a
turns
pitch
the switch
difference.
on.
Pitch
Yes.
difference. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a couple of friends who do. There's a subtle pitch difference, and they can't do it on command, but they do it when they get riled up. And I'm like, this is the best. This is the best.
Right.
Knowing that you are frustrated with me and what's about
Yeah.
to come next, please bring me your worst. Like,
Yeah.
I am
And you're,
ready.
internally jumping up and down inside, but externally you're crossing your arms and you're like, what are you gonna do about it?
Right.
Let's go. Let's tussle.
Yeah, exactly.
This is awesome. So this is a great stopping point for our class today. I really hope that learning about all these types helps you, either if you're, new to this, figure out, a direction you might want to go in, or if you are, been doing this for a while, it helps you figure out, oh, hey, I resonate with that. But I just hope it was helpful in whatever way that it could be. Do either of you have any just last minute comments on anything we talked about today, what you define a brat to be, or any of the types? Do you guys have any closing words, as it were?
We didn't get to touch on it a whole lot, but people have asserted the alpha brat onto me kind of thing, and it's in a way it's weird, because I'm like, I don't think I'm a better brat than any other brats, but I kind of weirdly like the title. I don't know if that's being crass or
I don't think it is, and I don't necessarily think alpha brat means that you're necessarily on top of or better than. I think it just has more to do with your assertiveness, and I feel like sometimes you mix in dom qualities with your brattiness, even though you aren't a switch or anything, but I feel like you pull in some of those qualities, which is why you might get the alpha brat title. Because if there were a group of brats, you might be the dom of that group of brats that were there.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe, but I kind of consider myself a big sister brat kind of thing. I can be mean to everybody, but nobody can be mean to you. Yeah,
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, I've been called an alpha brat before too. Personally, I don't like it because I get called by that mostly by people who know I switch. And I'm like, no, because when I'm in sub mode, I'm fully in sub mode. Yeah. I'm not trying to. But then, of course, everybody has different definitions for what an alpha brat or an alpha sub is. Yeah,
I feel like alpha is kind of a frowned upon term, especially in today's society. There's alphas and then there's betas, and you don't want to be a beta, but.
Yeah. Well, and then you hear the guys saying alpha male, beta male, sigma male.
Ew.
Yeah.
So I was curious on your guys' take on that. I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for letting me read out my list. This was very fun for me.
Oh, it was fun for me too. Absolutely.
I really liked it. It was, I liked it when I saw it on TikTok, so that's why I was like, no, we definitely need to put this in the podcast. This needs to be something that is shared with as many people as can possibly access it.
That makes me so happy.
So just closing words for me, I kind of like this. I like that we kind of really just touched on at its core that bratting is different for everybody. Even looking at the definition, what you define a brat to be for you may not be what I define a brat to be for me, and that's okay. Once again, kink is customizable, and as long as it's consensual, it is what you make it. So
as much at the buffet that you want.
Right? Yep. I like that we called it the buffet. It's the brat buffet.
Yeah, brat buffet.
All right, well, we are going to end our class for today. I'm Brat-tastic.
I'm Tatiana the Chaos Brat, and now you know what that means.
Have a great.
All right, join us next time. Bye.
You are dismissed.